All right, that should be good. And I think for a change, finally, this time I don't have a video playing in the background on YouTube. So you guys won't have any silly audio issues this time. Thank goodness. Yep, looks good. Cool. All right. Well, with that, let me get our share squared away and we can get into the news here this morning. Just a guess, but it's going to be a busy one. Okay, let's see. Just closing some excess windows here. Good. Okie dokie. Sound shared. Off to the races we go. Let's get my chats up too. I already got DLive. There's my YouTube people. Good morning. Good morning. Hello, hello. All right. Now let me see what I've tagged since I left you guys last night. Ah, yes. The clearly being blackmailed police chief in Minneapolis. Must watch. Minneapolis police chief actually states the facts about rioters being violent and breaking the law. I mean, he's backed into a corner where he basically has no choice, or it looks like really bad. I mean, it already looks really bad, but really bad for him specifically, which, well, I mean, it kind of already does, but worse. We'll go with worse. It looks even worse than it already does. And again, I have to highlight, like, as I did right off the bat with this guy, I have to highlight again, in my opinion, if you look at this guy, like, he is clearly, you can see it all over him. He is clearly under duress and has been for like decades. You can see it, like, it has worn on him for years. Just, you can see it all over his face and his eyes, his body language, is just everything. His aura. Not really one of those people, but you know what I mean. He must have done something years and years ago, and he's been paying for it ever since.
My name is Brian O'Hara, Brian O''Hara. I am the Minneapolis Police.
What the heck? I can't full screen it? What's the deal with this shit? The fuck? That's not cool. Now it's entirely frozen. Okay, there we go. There we go. Jeez. Sorry, I'm going to try restarting Firefox. That was very strange. Okay, history, restore previous session. Okay. Well, let's try that again. There we go. Much better.
My name is Brian O'Hara, Brian O''Hara. I am the Minneapolis Police Chief. At 6:51 p.m., Minneapolis police received a 911 call reporting a shooting on the 600 block of 24 Avenue North. Preliminary information indicates that there was a struggle with a federal agent in front of the resident. During the struggle, the federal agent discharged his weapon, striking one adult male. The adult male then retreated inside of the residence, where he remained inside and refused to come out.
Wow. So another incident.
Eventually, federal agents made entry into the residence, and the individual was brought to an ambulance where he has been transported to the hospital. Minneapolis police have secured the crime scene around the location, and the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, as well as the FBI, are on the scene processing the evidence. There's a crowd gathered in the area, and we have called for mutual aid from the Minnesota State Patrol and Hennepin County Sheriff. The crowd is engaging in unlawful acts. They have thrown fireworks at police officers, and at multiple times, gas has been deployed.
So, in other words, they're doing exactly what Tim Walz asked and wants them to do.
Police are attempting to disperse this unlawful
Except for the cops, except for the police. Tim wants the police to attack ICE
assembly at this time. I urge anyone that is at the scene to leave immediately. This is already a very tense situation, and we do not need this to escalate any further.
Look at this asshole, by the way, like just drilling holes into the back of this guy's skull with his eyes.
I have faith that the investigators are involved will follow every lead in this case and ensure it is completed to its logical conclusion.
Now, this is funny.
And we're in a position right now where we have residents that are asking the very limited number of police officers that we have to fight ICE agents on the street.
Literally. Did he? Yes, your ears did not deceive you. He just said exactly what you think he said.
Have residents that are asking the very limited number of police officers that we have to fight ICE agents on the street.
Literally asking cops to fight ICE agents on the street. Police, asking police to fight ICE agents on the street. Of course, okay, he doesn't have the balls to say that he himself wants this, so he sprinkles a little plausible deniability in there and says,
have residents position right now where we have residents.
We have residents that want it. We have residents that want it. Just did that one little bit so he can say, when of course this gets brought up again in the very near future, oh, well, I wasn't saying that I wanted that. I was just stating that there are people that do want that. Which, like, yeah, get real. It's obvious what he's trying to do here.
That are asking the very limited number.
It's also obvious he has a vagina.
Number of police officers that we have to fight ICE agents on the street, to stand by their neighbors. And we're in.
Oh, these people are in such deep shit, dude. When it all goes down, it is going to be delicious. Just you wait. Everything you've been waiting for and more. All right, did I get any more? Yes, one more. Woman in Minneapolis says martial law is almost certainly coming to her city. It's a left-hard.
Is this going to stop? Probably not. Is it going to get worse? Probably. What does getting worse look like? Like, is martial law coming? You know, almost certainly, which sucks. Because these are our neighbors. Like, we're just living.
Oh, you know, I forgot to mention.
We're just here trying to protect each other. And to see the.
Oops. Well, whatever. What an idiot. Okay, so look at this. Watch the clearly blackmailed for years police chief's reaction to this. His reaction, of course, should be to, I don't know, probably arrest the mayor on the spot, but again, obviously being blackmailed. But he does give a reaction, which I guarantee you, will be paying for.
And we're in a position right now where agents on the street. Very limited number of police officers that we have to fight ICE agents on the street, to stand by their
Them eyebrows, man. He's gonna pay for that shit.
neighbors.
Oh yeah. They are gonna like pull a couple fingernails off or something. I don't know.
To stand by.
He's gonna pay somehow. My guess is he was he's a gay, and he just has that look. He's in the closet, and they've been blackmailing him for years. You can see the decades of wear and tear it's had on his soul all over him. I'm telling you. Don't worry, though. They will pay in due time and soon. Okay. On to the main pile we go here. Good morning, Steph. How you doing? You are the best. You are so awesome. Can we like just give Steph a big round of applause for being like just kick ass? Awesome. All right, there we go. So the president's schedule today. Departs the White House to Palm Beach. They're not saying when, but sometime this morning, I guess. Participates in Great Historic Investment in Rural Health Roundtable. Oh. And then a Southern Boulevard dedication ceremony in Palm Beach. Whatever. Who knows? Silly. Maybe some opportunities for interaction with the press in there, though. Hopefully we'll get some footage. Federal officers pushing back against insurrectionists from every angle last night. Let's see. Arrests, flashbangs, mace. One of the women freaked out when red dots and agents appeared all around her. Ha! All right, when do we get the action?
Problems, fucking be nice.
Yeah, spray him. Do it. Hey, man. Is that all that smoke? Is that all like tear gas? Jeez, look at that. Wow. Tactical units dropped a hammer on violent mob outside the federal building in Minneapolis after a militant ripped open the door of a federal vehicle departing the facility. Whoa. Video in replies. Here we go. Wow. Psychos. Oh, yeah. I still haven't seen the newest Nick Shirley piece. Here's a clip from it. Nick Shirley investigation finds a Minnesota healthcare company called Advanced Mobility Incorporated that has been getting money from taxpayers and registered with the state for over 26 years. Oh, yeah. They visit the location, and of course, it doesn't exist.
So now
surprise.
we're at
2833 13th Avenue South in Minneapolis. And there's supposed to be a non-emergency medical transportation company here called Advance Mobility Incorporated. And what's interesting about this company is that state records show that it first registered with the state of Minnesota in 1999.
And they have been in business for over 26 years.
Yes, correct.
So we're going to go inside.
They must have a lot of vehicles.
So this is Advanced Mobility 2833, boarded up. All these windows are covered right here. We're going to see if we can go inside. There's a bunch of shops in here. We have money transferring shop. We got clothes in here. There's a coffee shop. Let's see if Advanced Mobility is in here. We got spices. Is Advanced Mobility here?
You know 224?
I don't think you guys are allowed to record it.
Do you know where Advanced Mobility is?
Suite 224.
She's recording over there.
He knows who this guy is already.
Suite 224. Do you guys know where Advanced Mobility is? Do you guys know where Advanced Mobility is?
Advanced Mobility?
Yeah, we're looking for
Never
it.
heard of him.
Never heard of it? What is it? Oh, my name is Nick Shirley. We're just looking for Advanced Mobility. Where's Advanced Mobility at?
We don't care about Advanced Mobility.
That's what we're asking for.
Yes.
All right, we're looking for Advanced
We
Mobility.
know you don't care about advanced mobility.
Nobody can help us right now. We got a whole group of people trying to get us out of here. We're looking for Advanced Mobility.
Freaking thugs, dude. Gangsters.
Advanced Mobility doesn't exist.
Get out here, man. Get out. You need to get out. You need to get out. Get out.
Now they're pushing us out of here. Where's Advanced Mobility at?
We don't care about Advanced Mobility.
That's what we're asking for.
Get out. Get out.
Would you like to give a statement on where Advanced Mobility is?
Nope. Go ahead. Get out. We don't care.
So Advanced Mobility is not anywhere here. We're leaving, sir. Would you like to give us...
Oh, I bet you they are, they just send that money out to all their family members. That whole building is probably one big happy family.
statement on
Raking in the cash.
what's happening here in Minnesota?
You make stuff up. This is a lie. I don't care. Who do you work for? Who do you work for? No, who do you work for?
Nick Shirley.
Who do you work
This
for?
is Nick Shirley,
I don't
sir.
care about Nick Shirley. That's you.
Yes, sir.
But who do you work for?
For Nick Shirley.
I don't care about Nick Shirley.
That's who
Is this guy a retard?
he's working for today, Nick Shirley.
This is from the
We
state
don't
of
care. We don't care
Minnesota.
about that. Get out of here.
Stop here.
And see, you guys say I can't film, but look at you guys filming. You can do that. You can film here.
Hey, from the
Advanced Mobility doesn't exist.
Well, so what was interesting was we walked in there, and on the state's website, it says it's in Suite 224, but it's a one-story building. None of the suites had the number 2 on them. It doesn't exist. And it's been registered since 1999, and it doesn't exist.
Wow. When this all comes out, it is going to shock people how freaking common this is. Every single town and city, massive portions of the currently existing healthcare industry, in all of them, guarantee you, are doing the same shit. That's what we're going to find. Okay. Pleased to confirm the ATF and DOJ executed an arrest warrant for the guy who's caught on video taking that rifle out of the FBI car that the morons busted into in Minneapolis.
I know you just talked to a high-placed source at DOJ. Tell us more.
Nice.
Yeah, so he wasn't arrested last night. He could have been, but the Minneapolis police didn't bother chasing the vehicle that had just stolen a high-powered rifle out of an FBI car. So that stole it out of one of these weapons lockers that was in the back. But what I can confirm now is that Raul Gutierrez, age 33, that you see in the video that I posted last night, stealing a firearm from an FBI vehicle, has been arrested by the ATF and the DOJ. They executed an arrest warrant today, and he's a known member of the Latin Kings gang. I just got all this information just before I came on air. He's got a lengthy, violent rap sheet. Of course, he should have been in prison already, but in Tim Waltz, Minnesota, like they don't arrest anybody here. So it's not surprising that he was able to go out and beat this gun safe to a pulp and pull this automatic firearm out of it and run away with it. And, you know, hell, if it wasn't for, honestly, a lot of us independent journalists on the ground that were able to get a video of this, nobody would have seen it happen.
Wouldn't know about it.
They were able to find this guy based on a video from independent journalists, the one that we posted last night. I mean, it's crazy that it has to be us doing this.
Yep.
So, Nick, did you talk to DOJ to get his name?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's I've been in contact with Attorney General Pam Bondi throughout the day today. We've talked to them several times.
We'll take that as a confirmation.
I have a lot more material that I haven't posted. Yeah. And so they've been, there's a lot of FBI stuff going on the ground right now that I can't talk about, but there's more coming.
Very well, then. There we go. Russia says it's deeply concerned about the deployment of NATO troops to Greenland. What? All what? 30 of them? Oh. I think the number was like 38 total from all of Europe. All European countries together combined total sent like 38 troops to protect Greenland. The UK sent 1. Some of the others sent like similar 1 or 2. Pathetic and hilarious. If I were Greenland, I would be freaking offended. And I don't know, maybe think twice about joining the United States, because I guarantee you we would send a lot more than 38 troops to protect them.
The president of the
Russian President Putin begins accreditation ceremony for foreign ambassadors, including envoys from 11 unfriendly countries.
The president of the Russian Federation, Vladimir Putin.
Начинается церемония вручения верительных грамот.
We
Quite a building.
Start the ceremony of the president of the Russian.
President Putin says Russia is ready for equal and mutually beneficial relations with all international partners.
I would like to underline that we are always ready to build equal and mutually beneficial relations with all international partners in the name of common prosperity, well-being, and development. I would like to underline that
Saudi Arabia to open its financial markets to all foreign investors on February 1st, 2026. Huh. Curious, like I don't know how closed they were before. I'm not really sure what opening the markets means. Guess that kind of depends. Pentagon moves to overhaul independent U.S. military newspaper. What is this? Of course, it went woke. Yeah. Every damn time. Stars and Stripes. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Stars and Stripes was first published over 150 years ago and is authorized by Congress to remain free from political interference despite being funded by the Department of Defense. Paper will adapt to serve a new generation of service members, including by stopping the publication of reports by the independent AP wire service. Huh. Interesting. Stars and Stripes will be custom tailored to our warfighters. It'll focus on warfighting, weapon systems, fitness, lethality, survivability, and all things military. Duh, that's what it should be. I mean, it should be obviously functioning as a newspaper, of course, covering news and financial markets and everything, but from like through the lens of a soldier. They've got to look at all that stuff in a unique way that the rest of us don't. You would think that this would have been the way they'd operated from the start, but here we are. That's good. Before this point, I was probably just doing like puff pieces on like lesbian soldiers. Like, oh wow. Look at these two lesbians that just got married and joined the Air Force together. Aw. China to allow visa-free access for Canadian visitors. Really? I'm trying to, of course, this is interesting. Right as they are about to lose access, it seems, to all of their mainstays in the Western Hemisphere, thanks to Trump and his current actions and probably future actions, probably a lot more to come on that front. Just a guess. As they're being driven out, here they are trying to cozy up to our northern neighbor, Canada. They are going to wave fat stacks of cash in front of Canadian politicians. Literally, maybe even. They are going to dangle every piece of bait that they've got in their back pocket. I mean, they've already got Canada pretty well locked in a lot of ways, but they are going to go all out now. They have to. If they lose access to the Western Hemisphere, they are in deep doo-doo. Deep shit. U.S. is pressuring Mexico to allow U.S. troops into the country to target fentanyl labs. Nice. Wow. Yeah, they won't do it, so. Interesting. Earth Angel 2200 in YouTube chat says Stars and Stripes used to be so good. Wow, really? That sucks. So what can you fill us in a little bit? Like how did they used to do things, and like what changed, and how did they change? Like is it what I thought? Did they pivot to like doing LGBTQ bullshit, that kind of thing? Quote unquote human interest pieces on conveniently strictly lesbians, black lesbians, probably. Earth Angel says, I'm glad they're revamping it. It was important when my husband served. Yeah, I would love to hear from someone who knows it or knew it before all the madness began and after. We get a response from anyone on that, I'll come back to it. All right, let's see here. Up next, Charlie Kirk's alleged assassin is expected to return to court today as his lawyers seek to have the prosecutor removed from the case. Huh.
And what could be decided is whether or not the Utah County Attorney's Office stays on this case or is thrown off completely. Now, this all goes back to this claim of a conflict of interest at the Utah County Attorney's Office. Lawyers for Tyler Robinson argue because a prosecutor's adult child was at the Turning Point USA event when Charlie Kirk was shot and killed, they can't stay impartial, therefore they should be removed.
Wait, because a what? A who was there?
Shot and killed, they can't stay. Lawyers for Tyler Robinson argue because a prosecutor's adult child
one of their children was there.
Was at the Turning Point USA event when Charlie Kirk was shot and killed, they can't stay impartial, therefore they should be removed.
I mean, that's not necessarily like a bad argument.
Now, according to an affidavit, the adult child, who was a student, was standing around 85 feet away when they heard a loud sound, and after people started yelling that Kirk had been shot, ran with the rest of the crowd. They then texted their family members that, quote, someone got shot and Charlie got shot. Prosecutors, though, are pushing back, saying the adult
I mean, I think it'd be reasonable just to have them swap this prosecutor out for someone that doesn't fall into that category. This isn't outrageous. It's not an outrageous ask, in my opinion.
Witnessed the actual shooting, couldn't see who fired the shots, and had no firsthand knowledge of the killing. They don't believe there is any legal or ethical conflict to force the removal of a deputy county attorney or the entire office. Former New Jersey prosecutor David Gelman isn't surprised by the defense's argument, but
I mean, it's a little nitpicky. Like, if this was a member of the jury, like 100%, but a prosecutor, I guess in a technical sense, probably like they have a decent argument for it, but practically speaking, like what actual difference is this going to make? The prosecutor's job is to represent the arguments of the state. They're going to treat it the same way regardless. So it seems a bit nitpicky, and silly to me, but they may get it.
It'll be successful.
And they're trying to do everything they possibly can to defend their client and probably get the best resolution, maybe get the death penalty off the table. However, this is it's not going to fly. And what it may do is tick off the judge.
Interesting,
in the prosecutor's office, because they're just wasting the time of the judge.
Yeah, it would be one thing if we were talking about the jury again, but like a prosecutor, like, come on, dude. Save that shit for jury selection. Ridiculous. Chinese President Xi Jinping holds talks with Canadian Prime Minister Carney in Beijing. See, here we go. They are trying to cozy right up to Canada. Get all up in that.
我也很高兴再次与你会面。
Get up in that business.
我们去年10月是在韩国庆州。我们见了面，那次也谈得很好，开启了
Very good, he said.
中加关系转换向好的一个新的局面。这是你就任总理以来的首次访华。
No clue. Can only make out bits and pieces of that. Reporter, what did you mean by New World Order? Oh, Carney dropped a New World Order, huh? He said the words.
Prime Minister Brian Platt with Bloomberg News. Yesterday, when you met with Premier Lee, one of the things you said in the public remarks was this partnership with Canada and China, this new partnership, sets us up well for the New World Order.
What the fuck? Okay, pardon my French, but I've got to find that. Let's see that first.
Mine is the first visit of a Canadian Prime Minister to China in nearly a decade. The world has changed much since that last visit. And I believe The progress that we have made in the partnership sets us up well for the new world order.
Oh, look at his face while he says that, by the way. Defeated, like little bitch boy.
The progress that we have,
like you could see it like all over him, like he's saying something that he doesn't want to say for whatever reason. Well, but probably because of the fallout that he knows will come from it. But he's got to say it. He has to say it. He can't not say it, or else. Just watch his face again.
Changed much since that last visit. And I believe the progress that we have made in the partnership sets us up well for the new world order.
See that?
Order. For the new world order.
Shame is what that is. That's interesting. Okay, now let's see this.
Prime Minister Brian Platt with Bloomberg News. Yesterday, when you met with Premier Lee, one of the things you said in the public remarks was this partnership with Canada and China, this new partnership, sets us up well for the new world order. What did you mean by that? What is the new world order?
Well, it's a great question, Brian.
Yes, it is.
Because I think the world is still determining what that order is going to be, and let's be clear what we're talking about.
But what did you mean? What the fuck did you mean by that shit, sir?
About first and foremost, which is what is going to govern global trade? What is the role of the WTO going to be?
Word salad bullshit.
How important are
pivot to the word salad every time.
Bilateral deals such as the one we're developing, plurilateral deals, if I can use that term, Trans-Pacific Partnership, potential linkages between Trans-Pacific Partnership and the EU. Where is financial regulation, payment system regulation going to fit into that? All of these aspects, I mean, use fancy words like the architecture, the multilateral system that has been developing these is being eroded, to use a polite term, undercut, use another term. So the question is, what gets built in that place? How much of a patchwork is it? How much is it just on a bilateral basis? Or where do like-minded countries in certain areas? So
I hope he hits him with the follow-up of something to the effect of like, well, sir, you are aware of the connotations around that term in the mind of the public. Like you know what people think of that, right? And what it means, right?
Countries, just to be clear, doesn't mean you agree on everything. Aspects, for example, on digital trade or agricultural trade, climate finance as another area, to move into
climate finance
thing. Aspects, for example, on digital trade.
Trade, yeah, they want that digital currency, baby. They want it.
Agricultural trade, climate finance.
They want to fuck the farmers.
As another area. To move into areas of geostrategy, geosecurity. You will have different coalitions that are formed.
What does that even mean?
So what this partnership does is in areas, for example, of clean energy, conventional energy, agriculture, as we were just talking about, and financial services, which we've talked less about. But the evolution of the global financial system, the role of the
they want everybody onboarded in every corner of the frickin' world, third world, first world, everywhere. They want them all in to the new blockchain-based system. That's what they want.
Be over time. The evolution of cross-border payments. I know it all sounds very dry, except for
Ripple and XRP. That's what that's talking about.
Organization, which I think takes an interest in it. These are important elements of how the system is going to work. And look, the expectation is that rather than these being developed necessarily through the IMF, WTO, and other multilateral organizations, it is going to be coalitions that develop them, not for the world.
Such as Ripple, the World Economic Forum, and various other NGOs and national banks, public and private, all working together to usher in the new world order.
But for subsectors of the world.
Yeah, be careful with that XRP shit. Sorry. Like, I know people are making money with that. Don't get me wrong. I'm very happy for you. I'm very glad that you're making money, but just know what you're making it with, please. It is not your friend. It is about as far from that as it gets. Gavin Newsom, California cooperates with ICE. Oh, please. Is this, oh, yeah. Ben Shapiro went on the Gavin Newsom podcast. Like, could you get any more cringe? It's like turbo cringe squared.
California cooperates with ICE. I mean, if some guy jumped out of an unmarked car in a van with a mask on, tried to grab me, I mean, by definition, you're going to push back. Just ripped off the streets by masked men. This is a moral moment. ICE, unmasked. What are you afraid of? What did Donald Trump do? He sent out his masked men. He sent out his secret police. And right outside are dozens and dozens of ICE agents.
All of this is about immigration enforcement and
it's about authoritarian tendencies. People disappearing, happening in the United States of America today. These guys need to grow up. They need to stop. And we need to push back. And I'm sorry. California.
Wow. Yep. Mr. Bearded Fedora there says World Economic Forum loves XRP. Behind them from the beginning. Absolutely they were and still are. Yep. Sorry, XRP lovers, but it's true. Like, you got to face reality. I'm sorry. You got to snap out of it with that stuff. Again, very happy for you if you're making money, but please understand and know what you are making it with. The World Economic Forum has pushed Ripple from minute one. They're a World Economic Forum partner. Brad Garlinghouse, Ripple is the company behind XRP. Brad Garlinghouse, their CEO, has been a World Economic Forum, like a Davos mainstay for the better part of a decade. Featured speaker year after year. Okay. What does that tell you? This is their intended system for cross-border payments right here. This is what they intend to replace the SWIFT system with. It is going to be the backbone of the new world order financial system. It is going to be the backbone for all of the central bank digital currencies of each individual nation. This will be used to connect all of them and make them all interface with each other. I don't know how people like just put their blinders on and just greed, I guess. Greed. I mean, people see a pile of money and they'll you'd be shocked what they'll do. What they'll be willing to ignore. Again, make your money. Happy for you, but as long as you know what you're doing and what you're which you're supporting. How is XRP doing, by the way? Oof. How about, yeah, there we go, 1 year. So after that big run in halfway through 2025, went up to like almost 350, over 350. So it's now back down to about where it started, huh? Still way up from where it sat for 22 and 23, 24, but well, I hope people sold while it was up there above $3 for your sake. Yeah. Okay, let's see. There we go. There's our share. Where were we here? New World Order. Yeah. Man, that's pretty wild stuff, though. What a bizarre move.
Mine is the first visit of a Canadian Prime Minister to China in nearly a decade.
Wow.
The world has changed much since that last visit. And I believe the progress that we have made in the partnership sets us up well for the new world order. Mine is the first visit of a Canadian Prime Minister.
That is just not true, Walking On. I'm sorry. I love you, but Walking On says Deep State has desperately been trying to squash XRP. That is so not true. I'm sorry. Again, I love you, but the IMF has been pushing. Like, what's her name? Von der Leyen. All these people, the World Bank, they're all pushing it in the financial sector. Goldman Sachs, all the big banks are on board with it. Okay. Where'd it go? Ripple co-investor, Goldman Sachs. They're quiet about it, but I promise you, they're pushing it. They have been laying the groundwork for this for years, ever since, well, the World Economic Forum started pushing them. They have been, like, Garlinghouse has been having very quiet, hush-hush, secret meetings with leaders of basically every big bank in the world. And they are more than happy to do it. It means tracking everything that everyone will ever do. Why wouldn't they want that? Envoy to Greenland. Who? Jeff Landry? Governor? What? Governor of Louisiana? So he was appointed, I guess, appointed as special envoy to Greenland? Interesting. All right. Makes the case for acquisition. Should be good.
The president is serious about reinforcing the Monroe Doctrine. This is something that should have happened 20 years ago. 20 years ago, we'd have been having this discussion. It would have been a bipartisan position. Nobody would be complaining. They would say that the president is doing a great job to secure our homeland. Now, because it's President Trump, you know, they just want to complain about it. This is an unbelievable deal. Anyone on the East Coast, Brian, should be concerned about this. The Chinese have built more icebreakers in 1 year than the United States has built in the history of the country. They're not building those icebreakers for fun. They're building them in order to be able to gain control of the Arctic. And the president knows that. And look, this is public knowledge. And so if you're on the East Coast, you want a stronger presence in Greenland. The president is serious about reinforcing the Monroe Doctrine. This is something that should have happened 20 years ago. 20 years ago, we'd have been having this discussion.
Wow. Okay. What do you what is it you're linking there, Bitterfingers? Interesting. Okay, so Bitterfingers is linking a bill for a Washington state bill, looks like House Bill 2085, which will apparently make Eastern Washington an autonomous zone. What? Like seceding from the Union effectively? Let's look at this. Hold up. Let me. And what is it? HB 2085. Let me see if people are talking about this. What the? Weird. It's like not. What the fudge? Is the entire search feature broken or? Yeah. X is having some web issues, I guess. Strange. All right, well, let me bring up the actual bill. And let's get a summary here. Yeah, right off the bat mentions the quote from the Declaration of Independence, the right of the people to alter or abolish a government that fails to represent them. Mentions a couple of the Federalist Papers, probably to drive that point home. Bill asserts that an extreme division of philosophy and values has developed between the urban areas of Western Washington and the rural areas of Eastern and Southwest Washington. It cites several historical and legal foundations to justify this restructuring. So, okay, so I think this is the opposite. I think this is the, okay, so they're not trying to secede from the Union. They're trying to become like an independent, a state independent from Western, like urban Washington. They're trying to become like the 51st state, basically. This is like the conservative areas of Washington trying to divest themselves from the rest of Washington. They've, you know, run the state into the ground. Okay, that's cool. I don't know. I don't think they're going to have too much luck. I wish them the best, but I don't think this is going to go too well. I don't think that's going to go anywhere. Not in a state like Washington. Wish it were different, but yeah. Okay, let's see here. Back we go. Geez, is the entirety of X just broken? Yeah, it looks like it. What the heck, dudes? Anyone else having issues? Let me try it on Safari. Yeah, look at that. Nothing. Won't load. Won't even load. They're under attack. Yep, omnidirectional says my X is down. Wow. Wonder what's going on. Strange. Is anyone able to get it at all? Walking on says 5x5. Have you tried like fully refreshing the page? Anyone else actually able to get it? Sunny, you're able to? Oh, interesting. Sunny says I'm on X and not yet having issues. So it sounds like a regional thing. Weird. Cool. Walking on says just refreshed. Still doing it. Weird. So may not necessarily just be an X issue. Wonder if any other websites are having issues. Let me try let's try Facebook. That's fine. Instagram, fine. Truth Social. Looks fine. Guess I'm not signed in. Weird. New device. Yeah. Sorry, getting logged in on True Social. We're probably going to have to get our news there if this doesn't shape up in a moment. Yeah, looks like it's toast, man. Interesting. All right. Well, shoot. On to True Social we go, I suppose. Bear with me here. Let me get signed in. Oh boy, what is our login info here? PSB News. Okay. Let's see. Password not correct, huh? Oh, great. All right. Oh, that's not it. All right. Let me see if I got it saved in the phone. Okay, there it is. Let's try that. Hey, there it is. Beautiful. Okay. Still no X? Still no X. Wow. Is X down for you, hon? Is X down for you? Yeah, weird. All right, here we go. On to True Social. Let me see if no, we don't have anything posted. Okay. Awkward Mama does a great job of. Sorry, I should mention that more. Awkward Mama does a fantastic job running the True Social PSP account. Great job, just posting news, assortments of news throughout the day. All right, let me see if it's breaking 911 on here. Yeah. Oh, wow, they are not active. How about that? Who is active on here? Rapid response. Let's try them. Okay, thank you. Here we go. Now we got some clips. Very nice. Very nice, very nice. Here's this morning.
And just before I got in front of the camera, my security team advised me that the person that stole that farm last night is now wearing a set of handcuffs in custody. So I was just advised of that before I got on the camera. So, and there's others, others are coming. So they're going to be held accountable. But you're right. Look, Mayor Fry and the governor could end this right now. They could say, ICE, we want to work with you. ICE, we want to let you into our jails, and we're going to, you know, respect your detainers. Any illegal alien that we book into a jail, when we're done with them, we're going to call you. So you can arrest them in the safety and security of a jail rather than us releasing them to the street. Then you got to send a whole team to look for them. They could fix this situation right now, because as of right now, what are these, you know, these anarchists, what do they have achieved so far? What have they achieved? Has ICE decreased their operations? No, we doubled down.
Yeah. But they're not trying to get them to stop, honestly. They actually want ICE to double down. They want the propaganda factory to keep cranking. They want injured people. They want blooded. They want guts. They want violence. They want explosions.
Arresting people every day, won't keep doing it. They haven't achieved anything.
They want people getting arrested and perp walked. They want all of that.
Other than violence.
They can use it to further radicalize their people. All these fence-sitting leftards. They want to mobilize as many people as possible. Oh, man, speaking of, oh, gosh, I wish X was working. Let me see if it's been posted on True Social. Here we go. Found it. Rioters attempting to break down the fence outside the Minneapolis ICE facility. But another rioter jumps in and tells them to stop and says, "We don't have the numbers yet." We don't have the numbers yet. They're absolutely intending, as soon as they do have the numbers in the streets, they're absolutely intending to take very violent, direct action.
Somebody's telling them to stop. Oh shit, they're coming deep. Oh fuck. The gate's open. Oh shit. They destroyed lives, dude. It comes really easily from a white dude to say to keep the peace.
Insane, man. Okay. Next up. More Tom Homan. Okay. Old. Here we go.
Well, the Philly sheriff, she's proven she's not too smart. I mean, you're not going to arrest anybody. Because like you said earlier in your monologue, there's supremacy clause. If you interfere or impede ICE officers, I don't care if you're wearing a badge or not. You just committed a felony. So we're going to continue doing this job, and these people who want to say follow ICE, and film ICE, you know what? You can protest. They have that right. But when you cross that line, and we've proven it, if you interfere or impede or assault an ICE officer, you will be prosecuted. And one thing I'm pushing for right now, Laura, we're going to create a database. Those people that are arrested for interference, impediment, assault, we're going to make them famous. We're going to put their face on TV. We're going to let their employers in their neighborhoods, in their schools, know who these people are. Because as you said, a lot of these people, they say they're taking time off work to protest. I bet you a lot of them are calling in sick. I bet you a lot of their employers don't know what they're doing. But we're going to make sure everybody knows who they are. We're going to broadcast. They want to broadcast the ICE officer that was nearly killed all over the internet. We're going to broadcast every one of these people we arrest.
Good. See some of you saying X is back up. Let's try it. Nope, not for me. At least they're working on the issue, I guess. So, FDA Commissioner Dr. Marty Makary.
It's been an open secret that the food pyramid and dietary guidance coming out of the government for
is a joke.
The last 50 years has been misinformation.
Garbage.
And really putting food on there based on a corrupt system by which food companies
may as well just turn the pyramid literally upside down.
Had items that they wanted you to buy, not based on nutrition science, which also happened to be one of the most corrupted areas in all of science. And so we got back to the basics of reviewing the literature, talking to the experts, and recognizing that saturated fat is not the boogeyman of our food supply. The entire 50-year dietary guidance.
So they literally did turn it upside down. Look at that.
Has been based on a false premise that we need to eradicate natural saturated fats out of the diet. So you are seeing an inversion here, this new food triangle, whereby we are talking about protein and the importance of getting more protein. You know, this increases our protein guidance by 50 to 100%. The old numbers were based on flawed research that used urine nitrogen that doesn't really approximate protein metabolism. And as a result, we had recommendations that were really designed just to prevent withering away.
Yeah.
Well, we don't want to just prevent withering away. We want our nation's kids to
thrive. Yeah.
Thrive. So the protein guidance is higher. And we're talking about the types of grains that people should be eating. 60 to 70% of the calories of kids today in America is ultra-processed foods.
Ugh.
It was off the radar. We never
Gross.
talked about it. It was never in any of the dietary guidance in the past. It's important. People are getting whole grains and whole foods that are not stripped of fiber and chopped up and function like sugar. So the bottom of the food pyramid in the past.
Oh, Trump live on Newsmax. Let's see.
And development. I said, well, what about research and development?
Let me see if the White House has this. Yes.
For Germany. Well, we've decided to.
All right, I'm going to go back. Let me see when this started. 10 minutes ago. All right, I'm going to put it on slightly fast speed.
This is a very important one today.
What is this?
We've worked on it long and hard. For years, they've been working.
Rural Health Roundtable, okay.
And I see Kevin's in the audience, and I just want to thank you. You were fantastic on television today. I actually want to keep you where you are, if you want to know the truth. Kevin Hassett is so good. I'm saying, wait a minute. If I move him, these Fed guys, certainly the one we have now, they don't talk much. I would lose you. It's a serious concern to me. So I just want to say thank you very much. You've done incredible. We don't want to lose him, Susie. But we'll see how it all works out, okay? Thank you, Kevin. Great job. And thank you for all being here as we discuss the largest investment in rural health care in American history. This is the big one. We're delighted to be joined by many incredible members of the healthcare community, including doctors, nurses, and pharmacists from all across America. We're also very happy to have with us some very talented people.
Jeez.
A man who is really good at this, extremely non-controversial, which is, I wanted somebody non-controversial, so I chose Robert F. Kennedy, Jr. to head the whole shebang up. And he also happens to be a great guy. Brooke Rollins, who's doing a fantastic job at agriculture, and thank you. And how are the prices coming?
They're coming, sir, they're coming down.
Don't forget, we inherited a mess. Remember eggs? They were up 4 times higher than they ever were. And in my first day, they said, what are you going to do about eggs? I said, I didn't cause the problem. We didn't cause, we inherited a mess, but the prices are coming down.
Yes, sir. Wholesale prices are down 86%. Retail a little bit less than that, but yes, you're making America affordable again.
With you in charge, I have no doubt, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Administrator for the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, a really good man, a really brilliant guy, Dr. Mehmet Oz. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Oz. And thank you also to Governor Jim Pillen, Senator Dan Sullivan, and Representatives Rob Bresnahan, Mike Lawler, John McGuire, and Nick Begich. Thank you all for being here. Appreciate it very much. Now we have other congressmen here, I see, and a couple of senators, and we appreciate everybody being here. Everyone wants to be a part of this. It's so important. It's maybe, I don't know, for many people, there's nothing more important. I would say maybe defense. We need defense, and we need offense too, by the way. As part of the great big beautiful bill, we're increased, and we have increased funding for the health care by an unprecedented $50 billion. That's rural health care. Nobody thought that was going to happen, and we got it done. So we have rural health care for those that were trying to make a case that we weren't taking care of the rural community. I'm all about the rural community. We won the rural communities by numbers that nobody's ever won them before, and we're taking care of those great people. So we already did this. We increased funding for rural health care by an unprecedented, record-setting $50 billion over 5 years, which will benefit Americans in all 50 states. And this made possible and was made possible by cutting massive waste, fraud, and abuse from Medicaid and reinvesting those funds to revitalize hospitals and our cherished rural communities and hospitals in rural communities. And I want to say, with all of the fraud that we're seeing in Minnesota and California and other places, I actually think that if we do an unbelievable job, you could almost balance your budget, Kevin. If you take a look at the kind of numbers you're talking about, nobody ever saw anything like it. They're all corrupt politicians, from the governor of Minnesota to the governor of California to everybody. They're just corrupt politicians. And you're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars in fraud. Waste fraud and abuse, but in fraud, you're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars. Under the Unaffordable Care Act, which is Obamacare, it's called the unaffordable. It is unaffordable, remember that. Rural hospitals and communities were devastated by soaring costs, and that continues. Despite colossal increases in government spending since Obamacare was passed, only 7% of the annual Medicaid spending on rural hospitals has gone to rural hospitals. So there's only a very little. They didn't care. Obama didn't care about the rural community, to be totally blunt. What he did care about is insurance companies. And this was a bill to make insurance companies wealthy. And they did. They made insurance companies very wealthy. I would say they don't like me too much because they spent hundreds of billions of dollars, and we're going to have that money spent to the people and given to the people, not we're going to circumvent the insurance companies. Partially as a result, rural health care facilities have suffered from low occupancy rates, workforce shortages, and failing programs that put Band-Aids, literally put Band-Aids over the problems in those communities, and we're not going to have that. We're taking great care of them. With the Rural Health Transformation Program, we are getting rural communities the health support they need, and we're getting it immediately. These funds will go to empowering rural hospitals, strengthening their workforce, modernizing facilities and technology, and ensuring that rural Americans get world-class health care in their own community, right smack in their own community, like they've never had it before, and they've been hurt very badly by the Unaffordable Care Act. Every single Democrat in Congress voted against the Lifeline for rural communities, and I hope everyone knows this, and this is not about elections, but I hope you remember this in the midterms, because the Democrats are just so horrible toward the rural community. But I want to take a moment to thank the incredible House and Senate Republicans who worked so hard on making this historic investment possible. That's what they did, and they did work hard. I don't think, got a Democrat vote, did we? Did we get one Democrat vote? We got all Republican votes. It was an amazing feat, and I want to thank Mike, our Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, and John Thune for really doing a great job. It was tough. You know, we have small majorities, and I want to thank the congressmen that are here for doing, in particular, for working so hard and getting this done. Yesterday, I also announced our framework to lower health care prices for all Americans, including those in rural America, and we're calling it the Great Health Care Plan. You know, we had to come up with a name, and everybody wanted to say, oh, well, can we put something about lowering costs, because we're lowering costs very substantially. So I had Bobby and I had Oz, we had everybody in there. We had a whole group of people who were trying to come up with, so we're saying, the cost reduction plan that gives you good health care. And I said, it's too long. It's not going to sell. I said, we had more plans. And they wanted to get the words cost reduction in there, Lola, especially you. They wanted cost reduction in, and then they wanted great health care in. I said, look, you can have one or the other, but it gets too long. We're talking about the name of a plan. So we got it down to 7 or 8 words, and which is far too long. Nobody can remember that much.
Yeah.
And I said, how about just call it, because this is the great health care plan. Now, a great plan has to be cost effective, otherwise it can't be a great plan. That's the way I looked at it. So we have a very glamorous name. It's called the Great Health Care Plan, not the Unaffordable Care Act. I don't like that name. This is called officially the Great Health Care Plan. That means low price and great health care. So you're going to have, at a lower price, great health care. First, our proposal codifies the massive discounts on prescription drugs that my administration is achieving through our most favored nation provisions. Okay, we can go into this. We can go into this for hours, but the bottom line is we'll be paying the lowest price of any nation in the world. Whoever's paying the lowest, we match it. This could have been done years ago. I was going to do it in my first administration, but when COVID came toward the end, I said, I can't believe it wasn't exactly a good time to be doing it. But I said, why isn't somebody doing it? And the reason they're not doing it is that no other nation would agree. France, as an example, paid 10% of what we paid. Germany was paying 13 or 14% what we paid. In other words, we paid many times more, not a little bit more, not 10% more, 10 times more. A pill would cost 10 times more in New York than it would cost in London, as an example, than it would cost in Munich. And this went on for many decades. This was right from the beginning. And the reason it went on was a little bit of the healthcare companies, but it was other nations. And I understand that. If I were heading Germany, I'm not going to double and triple and quadruple my healthcare. They got the healthcare companies to pay. It just took place over a long period of time, got worse and worse. And it just hit numbers that were just absolutely unsaleable. And if you remember, the doctors in the audience remember, they say, well, we have to do research and development. I said, well, what about research and development for Germany? Well, we've decided to put up so the pill would cost 5 times more because of research and development, and 5 times more for other reasons. They had all these phony reasons. And finally, I said to the healthcare companies, we can't do it anymore. We can't do it. And it started, really, I tell the story. It wasn't meant to be funny. People find it funny. But a friend of mine who's a very smart guy, very, very rich, very powerful man, actually, but he's very fat. And he took the fat, I call it the fat drug. I won't give you which one. It was Ozempic. I won't tell you that. And he went to London on one of his many business trips. That's all he does is business. He can't walk across the street, but he's a great businessman. And he said, President. I said, what? He used to call me Donnie. Now he calls me President. So I said, you've come a long way. He goes, but I have a problem. What's your problem? In New York, I pay $1,300 for this drug. Now, this means nothing.
Who calls him
this
Donnie?
Is like a penny out of your wallet. The guy's worth hundreds of millions, billions of dollars.
Wow. Oh,
He said,
okay.
and in London, sir, I pay just a fraction of that. I said, what are you paying? $87. I said, well, is it the same drug? I knew exactly what he was getting at because it bothered me for a long time. He said, it's the exact same drug. And because of his wealth and his business smarts, he had it checked. It was made in the same plant by the same company. It's identical. And here I pay $87, and in New York I pay $1,300. So it was too much to bear, because after I told him that the drug does not work on him, because I saw him recently, he's actually fatter than ever, I said, the drug is not working on you. You're going to have to go to something else. But it does work on a lot of people. And he said, thanks, you make me feel good. I said, well, I got to be truthful. You always tell the truth, right, Mr. Congressman? Oh, look, two of the great congressmen. But the drug, we have to do something about it, because that's the same with I would say, Bobby, every drug, essentially. Doesn't have to be in that proportion. In some cases, it's much worse. Because what happened, I might as well get off this crap because it doesn't explain it properly. Because what happened is these countries are very smart, and the drug companies would go to them and they said, look, we're paying $10 for the pill. We're not paying more. Charge America. And this happened one time, then the next year, the next year. This is over 40 years. All of a sudden, they're paying $10 for a pill, and we're paying like $130 for the same pill. It just happened over years, slowly.
Crazy.
And it got to a point over the last 10, 12, 15 years where it just was unbearable. And I went to a great executive at Eli Lilly, the top man. He's a very smart guy. And I confronted him, and he had the same line that they always had, blah, 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 research and development. I said, look, we got to stop this nonsense. We're paying 10 times more for things in Europe. It's not research and development. And if it is research and development, they should pay their fair share of that too. And he said to me, and he's a great guy, he said, look, you're right, we can't defend it anymore. I said, you're admitting it? Because these guys had a stand, all of them. They must have taken a class together. Must have been, it's probably illegal what they did, Lola, you'll check it, right? They must have gone to school together and said, this is the way we're going to fight this crazy thing where the United States pays 10, 12, 13 times more for a drug. Same drug made in the same plant. And he said, here's the problem we have. The nations are brutal. When we go in and say, we have to give you an increase, they say, no, put it on America, we're not paying you anything. And they say it with such power, and they actually shut us off from selling the drug. And it just happened over
Looks like they start taking questions coming up here.
Over again, it got a little worse, a little worse, a little worse. All of a sudden, we're paying many times more for the same. And so it's not going to happen anymore. He said, the problem is, sir, you'll never get the nations to agree.
I'm going to skip forward to that.
It's impossible. Of course we'll get them up. That's what I do. He said, Donald, I said, no. And that's where it began. And I went through country after country. Susie was responsible for getting every one of those leaders on the thing. Susie, by the way, stand up, Susie. She is doing such a good job.
Maybe not. I guess they. Okay.
She's the first female.
So I saw the camera moving over and assumed.
Chief of staff. And she might be the best chief of staff, too. But she's doing a great job. Thank you, Susie. So Susie got him on. And I just went one after another. I called Germany. No, no, no. We will not do that. I said, no, we're going to put a 25% tariff, which is, by the way, about 7 times more than they would have to pay by raising their drug. Like 7 times. This wasn't like a little bit more.
Still down.
7
Look at
times
that.
more.
X still screwed.
And I may do that for Greenland, too. I may put a
Let me
tariff
see if the app's working on my phone.
in countries if they don't go along with Greenland, because we need Greenland for national security. So I may do that. I'll give you a little, I'll take you out of the, in fact, that'll end up being the story. But actually, this is a much bigger story because we're reducing healthcare by numbers that you haven't seen. So I spoke to the top 10 countries.
No.
They all said no, and within about 2 minutes, they all agreed. And we were off to the races. And now we have favored nations. It's called most favored nations. So if France is paying, let's say, $20 or $30 instead of $10, we are going to pay that 20 or 30. We pay the lowest price, whatever the lowest price is. So if France is paying $100, but Germany is paying $20, we pay what Germany pays. So we go from a horrible situation on drugs, prescription drugs, to the lowest price anywhere in the world. Is that a correct statement, Oz? Because they're going to blame you. If you want to correct me, you can, but you know you won't be here for long if you do.
You're correct, Mr.
Oz has
President.
left employment. No, but is that a correct statement?
That's absolutely correct statement. And that's what we want to codify in the great healthcare plan.
Yeah.
That's
what
why
we're
it's so
codifying.
important.
That's
Because
right.
if the president's not here, there's a flight risk with these companies not obliging us anymore, because I think it's the strength of your personality, but also they know they will follow through with the threats if we don't act. So we believe other countries will change their opinions, and so will drug companies. So we've got to get it into legislation.
Well, if you have the wrong president, the countries have tremendous influence over us. You know, they look. Why did we go to an income tax system instead of a tariff system? We had the.
So for those of you out there who X is actually still working for, can you tell the rest of us if Elon Musk or anyone has commented on what the heck is going on? Anyone have it still working? Would love to know if they've like talked about what is causing this. Like, are they under attack? Is it what kind of issue is this?
Wealthiest nation. If you go back to the 1800s, 1887, we had money, so much money we didn't know what to do with it.
Oh, interesting.
But the countries at that time, same, no different. They have a tremendous influence over this country for whatever reason. I don't know, but they do. So if you have the wrong president, they'll change the system in 2 minutes. I mean, they'll change it. And the drug companies are very powerful too. You have to deal with them. In this case, it was both. I mean, you had a problem with the drug companies, but you had a tougher problem in theory, other than the fact that I understood how to deal with them. And I'm the tariff king, and the tariff king has done a great job.
The
And I hope
tariff
we win
king?
the Supreme Court case, because if we don't,
I'm the tariff king, and the
it's a shame
tariff
for our
king
country.
has done a great job.
Be a shame. We have a great, safe, beautiful country now. We're doing better than we've ever done. We hit 42 stock market highs during the 11-month period that I've been here. There's never been anything like it. Stock market's hitting a new high again today. So it's it's been incredible. So just to end it on this, because it's such a big subject and it can't be explained by reading. As good as my speechwriter is, he's fantastic, but he can't write it in one sentence what we're talking about. So we're going to get most favored nations. We will be taking prescription drugs down to levels never even contemplated. And that's all great for healthcare, because when you're paying a tiny fraction of what you had anticipated paying prior to today, prior to this month, this all took place over the last month and a half. And the sad part is that when we first announced it, and we did it in a little bit more general form, when we first announced it, the Times did a story on page 22 or something, way back in the little story in the back of the newspaper. This is the biggest revolution in the history of medicine in this country because it's price. You're going to buy the drugs for a small fraction of what you were paying for them last month. And I tell the story of my first term. I was the one, after 28 years, that got drug prices down. It was either 1/4 or 1/8 of 1%. I got them down for the year. First time in 28 years. I was so proud of myself, I called a news conference. I said, ladies and gentlemen, for the first time in 28 years, drug prices have gone down for the year. 1/8 of a point. In fact, I had a chart. It was the worst chart I've ever seen. It was a line that went from January to December, and it was dead straight. You had to get a little, like a carpenter uses to see. I said, this doesn't look good. It's not the greatest line. But I was proud of it because it did. It went down either 1/4 of a point or 1/8 of a point, tiny. And now think of what we're doing. We're bringing medicine down by many times. Nobody's ever seen. And there are two ways of calculating. You could say 1,000%, 2,000, or you could say 90% or 80%. The Democrats want you to say 90 or 80, but there are two ways of calculating it. You understand that, Dan? And we'll take either way. It doesn't matter. But we'll be paying a tiny fraction. So that's going to go into our plan. And what Oz said is very important. It's very important that whoever is in this office is, strong and intelligent. And look
at that. Looks like it's likely a Cloudflare and or Amazon Web Services issue. One or the other, or both, causing issues at all these other places. X, Grok, some Verizon, OpenAI is getting hammered too. Docker, interesting. Assume because of one or the other. Instagram. Interesting. Is it still down here? Let's see. Yep, still host.
They're not. They could, it could be ended. But what we want to do is we want to have it codified so it's very hard to change. And that's all part of the process. I think it's the greatest revolution because it's financial is, a big part of the drugs. And all of the doctors sitting there know exactly what I'm talking about. They have their patients in Europe and they say, I can't believe it. I'm buying the same thing for, 15% of what I pay in New York or in Chicago. And they're all nodding their heads. That's right. That's not going to happen anymore. We pay now, just to end it, the lowest price in the world, whatever that is, that's what the United States of America will be paying. Isn't that an amazing, long story? I was going to say long, boring. It's not boring. To me, it's long and exciting. It's the biggest thing to happen to healthcare. I don't think there's anything we can do. We can do all of our different methods, but there's nothing we can do that can ever top what we do. And the press should treat it fairly instead of not writing about it, because they don't write about it because it's me. Primarily because it's me, but also because it's Republican. And they don't write about it, and they should be ashamed. But fortunately, the public understands it, and that's why we won the election in a landslide. So it's a great thing. Instead of Americans paying the highest drug prices anywhere in the world by far, by 10 times sometimes, we'll now pay the lowest cost paid by the lowest nation. So the lowest nation, whatever that is, I hope they negotiate a great deal. I hope somebody out there of all those nations is going to be a better negotiator than everybody else. And whatever they get, we get, Mike. Is that pretty good? Look at Mike. Even Laura, first time I've ever seen him smile. And next, our plan would reduce your insurance premiums by stopping government payoffs to big insurance companies and sending the money directly to the people. So instead of, and this started, and I'm not really a healthcare maven, but I was always a good businessman. It started, I'm reading the paper, and I see the money that the insurance companies were making from us on Obamacare, and they're up by 1,000%, 16, I think one was up 1,723%, 1,700%. And it's because of the massive amount of money that's sent to them by the United States government. And I said, why don't we just send it directly to the people instead? And I made that statement. It was a common sense statement. I didn't check with anybody. I didn't even call Oz or anybody. It just made sense. I made a statement, and it went viral. Can you believe it? It was so popular. In other words, we cut out the insurance companies. They're making a fortune. And, you know, they're good people. They're business people. I don't blame them. But we cut them out. We pay the money directly to the people. The people love it. I said it, I said it as a non-professional in that business. And I made the statement like all of a sudden it's like the biggest story, that one, the biggest story. And I get a call from Caroline, who's around here someplace. She said, sir, we're getting inundated. Margot called me too. Margot, you called me too. Margot, everyone knows Margot. She's been here from the beginning, right from the beginning. But she said, sir, both of them. They said, sir, we're being inundated by what? You made a statement about health care being paid directly to the people into health savings accounts or whatever you want, health care accounts. And I said, I did. What's the story? He said, it's crazy. It's blown up. People loved it. And so that's where we started. So Obamacare was designed to make insurance companies rich. It really was. I mean, maybe not knowingly at the time by Obama, because he didn't know much about this stuff. It was designed by other people in Congress that are total pros that are bought off by the insurance companies. And the problem we'll have with this is we'll get no Democrat votes, even though it should be very bad for them if they don't. But maybe you'll get some. You'll call some of your friends, fellas, and Bob, you'll call some of your friends over on the other side. I don't know how they can reject it. It's just so popular. It's so compelling. So Obamacare was designed to make insurance companies rich with taxpayer subsidies, and I want that extra money straight to the health savings accounts for you. And you can choose your own health care. You go out and negotiate your own health care. It makes people entrepreneurs, mini entrepreneurs. They'll pick the health care that's best for them because it's so different. A young person, they need health care for different reasons, and an old person doesn't need certain things that a young person needs, and vice versa. To further reduce insurance premiums, my plan ends the giant kickbacks to insurance brokers and corporate middlemen. We're getting rid of the middlemen. How long have you heard doctors, all these doctors over there, look so smart. They're all brilliant people. I assume you're brilliant, otherwise you wouldn't be here, right? I assume we have the best. Do we have the best of the doctors? I would imagine, right? Hey, how cool is the White House, okay? They're always in operating rooms. I wouldn't want to be in an operating. I don't like operating rooms, but they do. But how cool is the White House, right? Coolest place on earth. And this is where it all begins. This is where we came up with a little concept about a place called Venezuela. How did that work out? And this is going to be the same thing in terms of its precision. Its importance is so big, it's going to work just like that. Venezuela was so amazing, but I equate that to other things because we can do other things like that. It doesn't always have to be a Minnesota where everything is corrupt, where they have healthcare centers that nobody shows up and somebody's making millions of dollars, where they have daycare centers where there are no kids. It's a scam. It's a big scam. It's like a horrible thing. We have a country that was great. We have a country that's now great again. It's really come a long way. Make America Great Again is almost going to be obsolete because our country is very close to, we're going to keep America great. We may have to switch to keep America great. But I don't know. There's something about MAGA. We should never change it. Susie said, don't change. We like MAGA. Everybody likes MAGA. So we want to make this precision, just like a Venezuela, just like the attack on the Iran nuclear weapons, which wiped that out, just like all of the other things we do, they're precision. We want to make it the opposite of Minnesota, California, and all these places that are so badly run. So to further reduce insurance premiums, my plan ends the giant kickbacks to those insurance brokers and corporate middlemen that you've been hearing about for so long. It also funds the so-called cost-sharing reduction program to bring down the cost of the most common plans on the exchanges by more than 15%. And next, the great health care plan mandates unprecedented accountability and transparency from insurance companies and all health care providers. We want transparency. You're not allowed to ask a doctor how much is it going to cost. You're going to have your heart ripped out, and you're not allowed to negotiate. This is a giant scam. It's, in certain ways, look, nothing can compare to most favored nations. But when you give yourself the right to negotiate, you're not allowed to even ask how much it costs. You're supposed to go into a hospital and get operated on. Then they send you a bill and you have to file for bankruptcy. Not going to let that happen. So we're going to have insurance companies and healthcare providers going to have great, and hospitals, great transparency. The word transparency is a very important word. So they can't get away with ripping you off any longer. It requires insurance companies to make it easy for you to compare plans. You've got to be able to compare plans. You can't do that now. You're not allowed to do that. It's not even believable. I tell you what, I used to sit before I was a politician home, and I used to say, how is that possible? Things happen that, I guess it's just the forces of nature, the forces of power, and you end up with very, very badly treated people, and they won't stand for it. But these forces are going to release an earthquake of reduced price health care. You're going to have massively reduced costs. This is no longer we're going to cut it by the famous 1/8 of a point. You're going to have massively reduced health care, and it's going to be massively better. You're going to have great health care at a much lower price, which is the two things. We want great health care and we want low price. You're going to have great health care at low price. Now you have terrible health care at a high price.
Interesting.
You have horrible, horrible Obamacare health care. Like everything else he did, it was crap. It was a horrible plan. It was from day one and should have never been approved. It was a very sad night that night when there was a thumb raise. Most importantly, will require any hospital or insurer who accepts Medicare or Medicaid to prominently post all prices. You're going to post your prices at their place of business. Something they don't have to do, something they're not even allowed to do. We'll have the maximum price transparency, and the cost will come down just by that, not even talking about favored nations. The price will come down. So just in conclusion, I'm calling on Congress to pass this framework into law so that we can get immediate relief to the American people, including rural America. And I hope to get Democrat votes. They know, they saw it. I know a lot of Democrats. And they say that plan is unbelievable. Are you going to vote? Well, I'm going to try. They have tremendous pressure on them. Vote no. Vote no. We have a couple of Republicans. Massey, Thomas Massey, always votes no. He's like, something wrong with the guy. If you have any clinical psychiatrists in there, maybe go check out his mind. But he always votes no. He's a very bad person. He's a very bad Republican, bad American when you always vote no. Just vote no. Do you approve? No.
No.
You know, there's not a thing you can say to him either, Lola. Look, Lola wants to be nice. He likes to get along with everybody. I don't. But they vote no. But so I don't know. You know, you have some people, they're very, I call him Rand Paul Jr. Rand Paul always votes. I don't know why he votes no, but I guess he thinks it's good politics. I got him elected twice. If I didn't endorse him, he wouldn't have been elected. But he doesn't reciprocate, and I guess that's okay. But I want to hear now, if I could, from Dr. Oz, and then we're going to have Dan Sullivan say a few words, and Rob and Mike, and Governor, you're going to say a few words, and we appreciate you being here very much. You're doing a fantastic job. I just want to leave by saying that this is the biggest thing to ever happen to healthcare in our country. It will not be covered that way by the fake news, and that's a sad thing. It will probably not be voted positively by the Democrats, and that's a sad thing. They all know how good it is. I think we can make healthcare into a Republican issue because the Republicans are going to be close to unanimous on this. It should be unanimous. Maybe we will be unanimous, but it'll be close. But we have a small majority. We probably need a little bit of help from the Democrats. So whatever we can do, we're going to do it. It's the biggest thing to happen to health care, maybe from the beginning. So Oz, would you take it away, please? Thank you very much.
Good for doing this. This is something that absolutely needs to be fixed. It's by far, just when it comes to the fraud side of things, like one of the worst. Just aside from, you know, like defense contracting, all that stuff, which is, I'm sure, pretty darn bad too. It's all Medicaid, Medicare fraud. Huge money.
Mr. President, thank you for standing up for American health care. And I just want to underline this fundamentally important issue. We need Congress to help craft the Great America Health Care Plan. And the Great Health Care Plan will work. It's a brilliantly conceived framework. And as it comes to the American people, they understand that they'll want it. And it should represent the analogous situation, similar to what you did so brilliantly last spring with the Working Families Tax Cut legislation that the President mentioned, has created the Rural Health Transformation Fund, which is why we're here today. I want to put a little bit of texture around why this is such an important issue, because the Rural Health Transformation Fund is the largest investment ever in American history in our rural communities. 50% increase in the amount of money that Medicaid, which Secretary Kennedy and I regulate, into our rural communities, $50 billion. You can do the math, it's $1 billion per state, and that's an important factor because it got them competing. There's 60 million rural Americans, and these folks do not have access to the same care that's available in urban and suburban America. Their life expectancy, if they're in a vulnerable situation, is 9 years shorter, because your zip code actually is your destiny. It determines how long you're going to live, and we can make a dent in this because the high rates of chronic disease and other ailments that plague our rural areas are often driven because they don't have access to care. That's going to change because of the Sentinel legislation. And again, it's similar teams, the same leadership, same president, same Congress that passed the Working Families Tax Cut legislation, which is incredibly popular around the country and will make the great health care plan successful as well. From the day the legislation was signed to create this wonderful fund, this transformational fund, the team at CMS, which is under Secretary Kennedy, began working. And they're here today. Steph Carlton, outstanding Chief of Staff, Alina Chekai, and Emily Chan, that day started working, it was July the 4th, by the way, on the specific vision for the program. How do you actually get the money out the door in 6 months? The president was insistent, did not want the money in Washington. So we began working closely to make sure that we'd use the money not as a Band-Aid, but to empower those closest to the challenges that rural patients face. And who are those people, the 50 people who know rural health care the best? The governors. They wanted the money out of Washington into the governor's hands, and that was done in a remarkable way. The governors thought big. We have one here from Nebraska who was actually the first to start working on community engagement, which is part of that legislation as well. But we have to right-size health care in rural America, and that's an important phrase. All 50 states submitted amazing ideas to transform rural health care in ways that should have been done decades ago. The CMS team awarded each team their portion of the $50 billion investment precisely with the same precision that we took Venezuela leadership, convicted individual, and with Iran as well, the same precision on time before the end of the year, and got it out of Washington into the states. Now I want to take a step back and do a little thought experiment, Mr. President, if you want to do this. If you, and God forbid this happened, had turned your head the other way in Butler, Pennsylvania, it wouldn't have been an ear injury. Now, I've been to Butler. I'm from Pennsylvania. Butler General Hospital is a good hospital. They don't have neurosurgery there. If you have an injury to the head, you have a golden hour to get cared for. You were taken to Butler General Hospital. Because the injury, thankfully, was not as lethal as it was designed to be, it wasn't the problem. But if you'd had a head injury, you could have had your life saved. But without a neurosurgeon, and there is no neurosurgeon at Butler General Hospital, unfortunately, you wouldn't have an option because Pittsburgh is a far, far ride away. That's the closest metropolitan area where there are lots of neurosurgeons. But with this bill, this legislation rather, this funding of $50 billion, Pennsylvania got its share. And they're going to be able to build telemedicine hookups, even telerobotic surgery, that would allow an injured individual in a car accident or any other reason that has a head injury in Butler General and rural hospitals across the country to be able to access the best care our nation has to offer so rural America will not suffer. That's the promise of what this money offers to our nation. It's not just paying the bills, it's not just picking up the pieces, it's actually transforming using technology we have widely available in urban America, the way we save lives in rural America. Each state competed aggressively because for $1 billion, Mr. President, you'll fight pretty hard. And they gave us brilliant ideas that they're talking with each other about. So we're actually creating teams that now across state lines will connect because they're all Americans and they base their advances on several pillars. Secretary Kennedy can talk about MAHA because there's MAHA elements to this as well, but very precisely sustainable access. We asked states, how can we bring top care closer, like in the thought experiment I gave you for Butler General. In Pennsylvania and North Carolina, there are regional spoke models, and hub and spoke means you've got a big hospital in the city and they adopt or work closely with some rural hospitals to solve the challenges of fragmented care. And that actually works. You share administrative back office work, you group purchase your stuff, you save money, you exchange medical records. Alabama has no OBGYNs in many of their counties. So they're doing something pretty cool. They're actually having robots do ultrasounds on these pregnant moms. So we can actually get those images back to the big center. So we know if the child has a problem, and we know if that mother's at risk. We have one of the highest maternal mortality rates in the world, in the country with the best medicine in the world. It's often stated, people ask, does healthcare stink in America? Well, they don't like it. Would you leave America to get healthcare elsewhere? Nobody leaves. We have the best healthcare if you can get to it. We don't want rural America left behind anymore. As an aside, by the way, we've talked about the most favored nation drug pricing. One of the first companies and areas we used most favored nation drug pricing is fertility drugs. That's why we're going to have so many Trump babies, because we've dropped dramatically the most expensive part of the fertility space. And so America no longer will pay so many times more, in that case it was 10 times more, for the same fertility drugs that they're available for moms who want to get pregnant in Europe. I want to thank Terry, who's here as a nurse practitioner, Andrew, who's a doctor, West Virginia, New Mexico. They're representatives of the workforce in rural America. But there are only 2 of them here representative because we don't have enough people working in rural America. It's a big challenge. So Delaware is creating its own medical school, their first ever medical school in a rural part of the state. So that can get more local talent that will stay local in those parts of Delaware. Michigan is launching the high school to healthcare pipeline grant program. They want to take kids out of high school in Michigan, local rural communities, and get them into the system, get them trained as nurses, because they'll stay home because they're from those communities, and they'll save lives for decades there. These are the types of programs that can get our rural communities and economies up to high gear and keep it that way long after this 5-year funding is done. And finally, tech innovation. Rural communities would benefit the most from high-tech advances, like we just discussed, possibly if there was a head trauma case. Many states want to partner with our CMS data interoperability network. Was created by Amy Gleason, who spearheaded so much of the technology transformation in our government. It's going to support the president's pledge to provide transparency that he mentioned as part of the great health care plan. And Congress can ensure these are all available for decades to come if we can get this legislation through. As in the tech innovation forefront, just to give you a couple examples, Texas and Hawaii are making targeted investments in statewide telehealth, so everybody has telehealth. The best doctors for the best knowledge available where you are. We'll meet you where you are. If you're a vet and depressed and you're thinking of taking your life, we'll be there. Just let us know you're in trouble and we'll help. Alaska wants to deploy, and I'm going to hand it to Senator Sullivan in a second, wants to deploy unmanned pharmaceutical distribution kiosks and drones that will deliver medications, because in the North Slope of Alaska, you can't get there this time of year. So these technologies, they exist. Why we use them in Midtown Manhattan? We should use them in rural Alaska. This administration is committed to collaborate.
Oh, I don't know what happened there. Hold on.
With all 50 states, all 50, red and blue, all 50 states, to carry out bold plans to tackle the challenges that local communities face. We're not pouring funds blindly, however, into a broken system. We're going to carefully, precisely, as the president said, target this investment. With healthcare fund running rampant, and I was in Minnesota this week, Mr. President, it's worse than we've heard, but Minnesota, pardon the pun, is just the tip of the iceberg. California is the varsity team when it comes to fraud, waste, and abuse. We're not going to let that happen. We want transparency for this $50 billion investment. We owe it to Capitol Hill. We owe it to this president, and we want accountability to be a top priority. For that reason, we've created an Office of Rural Health Transformation at CMS for long-term oversight. The office, led by Alina, check guide Alina again, was one of the people who helped create this program in the forefront, will guide, she was in the first administration, Mr. President. She's going to guide states in implementing their rural health transformation plans, coordinate all the federal and state partnerships, making sure there's appropriate oversight. In addition, every single state is going to have a dedicated project officer. We will be there with you. We're going to help you. Please engage us. You've got lots of lives at risk. It's a true state-federal partnership, unbelievable, extraordinary milestone for healthcare. Your zip code will no longer dictate whether you have excellent healthcare. Your zip code will no longer be your destiny. It's not going to dictate your life expectancy. Mr. President, I cannot thank you enough for the leadership that it took to get this $50 billion investment in rural healthcare. They don't make a lot of noise. They just want to get the job done. You stood up for them in Congress. God bless you for making this possible. Please do it again. Please do it again for the great health care plan. Let me hand it to Dan Sullivan, who's a spectacular member of the Senate, and obviously Alaska, they're pretty rural.
Thank you, Dr. Oz. And Mr. President, I am very honored to be here. This is a really exciting day. I want to thank you, sir, and your team. Worked really closely with Dr. Oz, Secretary Kennedy, many others. You know, this is a great example of how Congress working closely with your administration, can achieve historic things. This is historic for our rural health care, certainly in the Working Families Tax Cuts Act. You combine it with what you were talking about, sir, in terms of drug price reductions for all Americans. So these are two things that are happening right now and are historic, and I agree 100% with you, Mr. President. Hasn't got a lot of press, even though it is historic. It's going to really impact people in rural America, especially my state, this fund that I want to talk about. But what you've done on the drug pricing is even...
Ben, will you get Lisa Murkowski to vote for it?
She voted for it.
No, are you going to get her to vote for the great, big, beautiful health care bill that we're doing?
When we get that, I think MFN drug pricing, I bet
No,
every member of Congress votes for it.
Are you going to get her to vote for it?
We'll work on it, sir. We'll work on it.
Pressure's on, buddy.
So let me actually talk a little bit about the context of what's going on in Alaska and how this relates to it. You know, after 4 years of being locked up and shut down by the previous administration, we are on the cusp of achieving some huge goals in my state that we've been working on for decades. We have this huge resource development boom going on the North Slope of Alaska. I was with a bunch of the Inupiat Alaska Native people who live up there. They're so excited about what's happening there. We are, as you know, Mr. President, building icebreakers. We're home porting some of those in Alaska. We have huge historic infrastructure and economic and national security investments happening. In particular, the gas line that you have championed so much, the big LNG project. All of these things are happening. It's really exciting. By the way, all of these issues I just talked about, all of those were in the Working Families Tax Cuts Act, so there's a lot of excitement. But, Mr. President, in addition to a strong economy, the thousands of jobs that these projects are going to have, we have to have a strong healthcare system in every state. And rural Alaska, as you mentioned, as Dr. Oz mentioned, has often...
Look at that, X is back up, at least for me.
Almost always been an afterthought when it comes to investing in healthcare in America. And that's not happening anymore after the Working Families Tax Cuts Act. As you said, Mr. President, as Dr. Oz said, this is the biggest investment in rural health care in American history. $50 billion, the award the great state of Alaska was able to get working with Dr. Oz, and the parameters of the bill was about $1.4 billion over 5 years to transform our health care system. So that's really exciting, but here's the big deal. This is not just about money. This bill isn't just about money. The reason it's so impactful is that it's focused on letting states and governors design the system that they need. Alaska has many unique healthcare challenges, Mr. President, as you know, but for decades, the mentality in Washington, D.C. is this approach to one size fits all. D.C. tells every state, here's how you have to do it, and it never works. It never works. It certainly doesn't work in my state. I'll just give you one example, the federal match on Medicaid. Our state typically has the lowest match in the country, even though we have the highest healthcare costs and highest delivery costs in the country. The one size fits all doesn't work. This bill is different. This bill that we wrote with your administration is all about allowing states to design a system that works for them with CMS guidance, and this will be a generational opportunity for every state to bring health care closer to home, to make it more responsive to the people who live in that state, and make it more affordable. I'll just end with this, Mr. President. Like I said, a lot of excitement. We got Governor Dunleavy, who sends his greetings, was hosting the stakeholders in Alaska who are going to be applying for these funds, working with CMS and our state. Over the last couple of days, you have over 300 people coming to these meetings on how to use this transformation fund to better health care in Alaska. And this is going to help my constituents, it's going to help every American, and it is really exciting. And I want to thank, again, you, Mr. President, and your team.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you very much. We're going to have to go very fast. We're going to have to go we are way behind schedule, and I have a couple of meetings that are very important.
Yeah,
Nothing more important.
You ran your mouth too long
Let's
there,
go.
Dan.
Come on, Bob.
You talk too much.
Rob?
Fire round.
Please.
Mr. President, thank you very much for having me here today. And I represent Northeastern Pennsylvania. Your governor from Scranton, Pennsylvania, so never had the opportunity to meet. But I inherited a very similar problem. But before I was even sworn into office, I had two hospitals, Moses Taylor and Regional in Scranton, that were imminently facing closure. Right. And it's been, and working with Dr. Oz, Administrator Oz, and the CMS team has been absolutely incredible on so many levels. And thank you again for intervening and shepherding us through that process. But when you're looking at Pennsylvania, we're going to receive over $193 million. In 5 years, it'll be over $1 billion for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And when you think about Northeastern Pennsylvania, clinics and regional hospitals, rural hospitals are the backbones of our communities. So making a targeted investment that is not just going to Band-Aid over poor operational procedures, it's going to actually transform rural healthcare. That's what we are so excited about. Pike County in my district is the largest growing county in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania where there's not a hospital. The nearest commute to a hospital is over 55 minutes away. So these are going to be funds that will be so imperative. The unprecedented investment is going to be incredible. And thank you for having me up here and being a part of this journey.
Thank you, Rob. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a great opportunity to be here with you and your team. Dr. Oz has been a tremendous asset. The $50 billion commitment to rural health transformation is critical. New York State is going to see about $212 million in the first year, which is vital for workforce development, access to care, primary, behavioral, maternal, emergency, telemedicine, et cetera. How were we able to do it? Because we rooted out waste, fraud, and abuse in the system. Democrats will just say we cut $1 trillion in Medicaid. That's not what we did. We said you need to be eligible. You need to be a citizen. You need to work if you are able-bodied without dependent children. We reined in the provider tax and state-directed payments, which have exploded over years. And we are taking this money, not only preserving Medicaid for the IDD community, our seniors, our children, our single mothers, but we're investing it in rural health. When you look at Obamacare, health insurance premiums have risen 96% since Obamacare took effect. Insurance revenues up 2,000%. Mr. President, you are 1,000% correct that the insurance companies are the problem. They wrote Obamacare. It's to their benefit, and the American people are being screwed. And so we can get a bipartisan agreement on what you are trying to do. When it comes to lowering drug prices, I will tell you, one of the largest pharmaceutical companies is in my district in Westchester County. I met with them in 2024 and I said, what would you do to lower drug prices? And the response was, go after the European price controls. You are spot on taking on the price controls that have been put in place. Most favored nation is the single best thing we can do to lower prescription drug prices here in America. The pharmaceutical companies will tell you that privately. And that is the fundamental fact. We need to go after PBM reform. Associated health care plans, we put that on the floor. Every Democrat voted against it, every Republican for it. Those would reduce costs by 11% because businesses, small businesses, would be able to pool together and purchase health care plans at a lower rate. We need to go after the PBMs and make sure that insurance companies are not owning providers and owning PBMs. That is what is driving up the cost of health care in this country. You've talked about IVF. I've been a big champion on this. We need to make sure the insurance companies cover it. I also have a tax bill to provide tax incentives to Americans, and what you have done to lower IVF costs on the drugs is critical. And you are 1,000% correct on expanding HSAs. I fundamentally believe that we can address the issues with Obamacare, make sure that the American people have access to care at a lower rate. We can get a bipartisan agreement to address the EPTC with expansion of HSAs so that the money goes to the people and not the insurance companies. We are committed to working to get this done, and I thank you for your leadership.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you.
Mr. President, gigantic thank you, and thank you for your incredible leadership. Your courage gives me more courage to say it the way it is. We're working very hard in Nebraska to run government like a business. This investment into rural America, which, by the way, in all of Nebraska, you poll 85%. I don't know what the hell's wrong with the other 15, but your 85 is a pretty good number. I think, be very, very brief. This plan will allow us to do common sense, pragmatic investments in rural Nebraska, and they will be sustainable. We will make sure that we don't need another dollar after 5 years. We are working on simple things like food. Real food is good medicine. We're working on making sure that all of our veterans, Nebraska is 500 miles long, 250 miles wide, no longer are veterans going to have to drive to Omaha to get care. We're going to take care of our veterans at home. Investments in technology so we can educate our children in rural Nebraska to provide health care are really, really important issues. And I think that the other is we've developed what we call 6 Regions, 1 Nebraska, and that will focus and take advantage of those. So we're working on what we have and then being able to use these resources to also help us with mental health and drug care as well. So we're incredibly grateful. Nebraska, we work hard. We're about faith, family, hard work, the American dream, and we don't ask for much help in rural Nebraska. So we're really grateful for this investment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. 1 minute.
How about 30 seconds? How about 30 seconds, sir? As a small town kid from Glen Rose, Texas, population 1,200, where I grew up, what you are doing today changes everything. And on behalf of our farmers and our ranchers in rural America, it is a new day, and we're so grateful. The final thing I'll say is I think about Abraham Lincoln, who also sat in this room, and I think about other presidents throughout American history. And you think about how the fundamental course of American history has changed in certain pivot points throughout history. I think about you as the peace president. 8 wars solved, more coming. I think about you as the security president, a border that is secure for the first time and more than any time in American history. I think about you as the prosperity president. We talk about, Kevin, wages going up.
We'll give her
coming
more than
down.
1 minute. In fact,
I'm not almost done.
she can
I'm almost
she
done.
can speak as long as she wants.
I'm almost done. The prosperity president and what's happening. Think about you as the affordability president. Everything is coming down. Inflation is coming down. The cost of groceries is coming down, fuel, housing, etc. And sir, today, in the last 2 weeks, you will go down in history as the greatest president for the health of this country in history. Think about our new dietary guidelines from Bobby Kennedy and I, but with your leadership, putting real food back in the middle of our health care conversation. Whole milk for healthy kids with those dairy farmers 2 days
Yes.
ago. We were in Pennsylvania talking about it yesterday. And today, putting the patient and the doctor back in charge of health care with great leaders like Governor Pillen. God bless you,
Thank
your
you very
leadership,
much.
and all of our leaders. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much. Doing a great job. And Terry and Andrew, thank you. Thank you very much for being here. I hear you're just outstanding people and have really helped. We appreciate it. You want to say something?
Thank you, President Trump, and I would just echo everything that's been said here. Thank you very much for what you're doing. I'm from the northwest corner of New Mexico. We also work with the Navajo Nation.
Right.
And so we have a lot of rural areas in our state and in our county. I'm also a county commissioner. So
Good.
I take as being a nurse practitioner, a county commissioner, with a heavy weight in order to see this happen. And it will help produce accessibility, which is a huge thing. People have to drive for miles in order to see a healthcare provider, workforce, quality care, and sustainability for our hospitals. That's what we're looking at. We meet next week in Santa Fe with our legislators. And so that is, we're going to be addressing the licensure compact as well.
And they've got to clean up their elections in New Mexico.
We're working.
Because those elections are so corrupt, it's incredible. If they
Okay.
clean it up, we win by a lot, but they are really corrupt elections. So I think if you want to do this, you have to tell them to start working on that. It's unbelievably one of the more corrupt states in terms of that. But you uncorrupted, so I appreciate you being
Well,
here
the
today.
Northwest Corner loves you.
I know, I know.
Thank you.
I know we have great love in New Mexico, but it's the elections are so corrupt. Not much you can do about it. We have that with numerous states. Thank you very much, Andrew. Thank you very much. You have anything to say?
Mr. President, thank you for having me here today. It's an honor to be here to represent my community. I'm from Northwest Georgia. I grew up in West Virginia. To represent my colleagues and my profession, it's truly an honor. This is so important to our patients, to put the physician and the patient back together and take everything else out of the middle. I practice in cardiology. Having efficient, effective, high-quality care is so important, and time is of the essence, and patients need to be able to have close proximity to their doctors to get the care that they deserve. Quality of care shouldn't matter about the zip code. We should be able to do what we are best at and take care of our patients on an equal playing field, and this certainly helps that. I greatly appreciate all that you've done for the American people. You are an inspiration to us. You make us believe no problem is too big to solve. I mean, you are a representative of that, and I thank you for your leadership. Thank you for this opportunity to be here, and thank you for putting healthcare at the forefront. It's so important to every patient and every family that we take care of.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Great job. Great job you both do. Amazing. I've heard unbelievable things. And doctors in particular, thank you very much for being here. We very much appreciate it. Thank you, everybody. Big story. Thank you.
Okay. Well, there we go. That's it. Thank you for joining me, everybody. And we have Vicky in, sitting in for Poe. I think Poe's just tired, so he's taking the morning off. How are you? How you doing?
I'm good. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure meeting and talking with you.
I know. Yeah, great to kind of officially sort of meet you face to face, kind of.
Right.
Yeah. How
Yeah,
you been?
Poe's, I had to run to the store and I hung out with him all night. So he had some errands to do and he may
Aw.
pop back in, but I'm here till he gets here.
Cool. Great. Thank you. Well, I will leave it in your capable hands, and I'm going to go get some lunch.
All right. Sounds like a plan.
Have a good
Have
show.
a good day. Bye.
See ya.